Coronation Street's explosive twist. Nina and Summer's LSD nightmare collides with Gary's mysterious coma. In a week that promised drama, Coronation Street delivered a thunderbolt. Two seemingly unconnected storylines have now collided in a way that could send shockwaves through Weatherfield for months to come. As young friends Summer Spellman and Nina Lucas continue to wrestle with the psychological fallout of a wild party and a bad drug trip, a horrifying truth begins to emerge. Their foggy memories, once thought to be just distorted hallucinations, may actually hold the key to one of the street's most urgent mysteries. What happened to Gary Windass? The latest episode has unveiled a game-changing twist. Gary, long missing and presumed to be taking a break, is in fact lying unconscious in a hospital bed, his fate uncertain, his injuries unexplained. And as the pieces start falling into place, EastEnders fans are left asking, did Nina and Summer's trip turn into tragedy? Crescent moon one night, two girls, and a dangerous high. The week began with a dark cloud hanging over Nina and Summer, two close friends who found themselves experimenting with LSD at a party. What was supposed to be a night of rebellion turned into a waking nightmare. Both girls are deeply affected, says a source close to the show. They can't shake the feeling that something terrible happened, but they don't know what, and their memories are jumbled and unreliable. In earlier episodes, we saw them desperately trying to retrace their steps. Nina, haunted by recurring flashes and sensory distortions, felt sure she had harmed someone. Summer, terrified of the consequences, insisted that it was probably just a bad trip, paranoia amplified by the drugs. They agreed to keep the night a secret. But secrets, especially in Weatherfield, never stay buried for long. Crying Nina's guilt boils over. At first, it seemed Nina was simply spiraling under the weight of guilt and unresolved trauma. Still reeling from the death of Seb Franklin, her murdered boyfriend, any incident involving violence or blood acts as a trigger. This time was no different. Working her shift at Roy's Cafe, Nina was visibly distant, agitated, and prone to sudden emotional dips. Roy Cropper, ever the gentle guardian, immediately sensed that something was wrong. She was distracted and jittery, our insider explains. Roy knows Nina better than anyone, and he wasn't going to let this slide. After pushing gently, Roy discovered the shocking truth. Nina had taken drugs. She confessed that during the trip, she believed she may have hurt someone. She recalled a man lunging at her. In her panic, she shoved him, and he fell. She couldn't remember what happened after, but she was certain something went horribly wrong. Candle memories in the memorial garden. Later, Roy found Nina alone in the memorial garden, haunted, shaken, desperate. She opened up to him fully, revealing her fragmented recollection of that night. Her words are chilling, says a viewer who watched the episode live. She wasn't just afraid she'd done something wrong, she believed she may have killed someone. Roy, heartbroken but resolute, urged Nina to go to the police. Even if her memory was fractured, even if it turned out to be nothing, truth and accountability were better than silence and paranoia. Eventually, Nina agreed. A dead end. For now. At the police station, Nina met with Kit, where she laid out everything she could remember. It wasn't much, a hazy altercation, the fall, blood, a face she couldn't quite place. But there was no record of a fight, no missing persons report, no known victims from the night in question. Without a crime, without a body, and without evidence, Kit had no choice but to let her go. He did, however, bring Summer in for questioning, leading to explosive fallout between the two friends. Summer, who had begged Nina not to involve the police, was furious. "They'll think we're making it up," she hissed during the tense exchange. "You've just made things worse." But Nina remained adamant. "Something happened that night. I know it. I can feel it. Brain memory, trauma, and trust, the psychological toll." For Nina, this isn't just about drugs or the possibility of an accident. It's about her trauma history, her trust in herself, and the fear that she may be repeating a cycle of violence. She's terrified she's done what she couldn't stop happening to Seb, notes a clinical psychologist familiar with the storyline. This isn't just a mystery, it's a psychological unraveling. Summer, meanwhile, is spiraling for different reasons. Her instincts tell her to bury the truth and move on, but guilt has a way of manifesting physically. Her hands tremble, her stomach churns, her face tightens whenever the topic comes up. As the week goes on, even Summer begins to question what they may have done. No cell phone meanwhile. Where is Gary Windass? While Nina and Summer battled their own demons, across the street another story was quietly building. Gary Windass had vanished. His family, especially Maria and young Liam, were growing increasingly worried. Gary had supposedly texted to say he was taking time out, needing space. But something felt off. Gary wouldn't just walk out, especially not without calling Liam. The text seemed robotic. Un-Gary. Almost. Too perfect. The family searched his usual haunts, rang his mates, and tried to track his movements. Nothing. Gary was gone. Maria clung to hope, even convincing herself that he just needed time. But deep down, she feared something more sinister had happened. Collision. The reveal. Gary's hospital coma. In the episode's final scenes, as Nina resolved to get to the bottom of what happened that fateful night, the audience was let in on a chilling secret. Gary Windass is in hospital. In a coma. The camera panned slowly across the sterile hospital room, heart monitors beeping in the background. There was no movement, no visitors, just Gary, bruised, broken, unconscious. The reveal raised more questions than answers. Who found him? How did he get there? And most hauntingly of all, is Nina the reason Gary's fighting for his life? Magnifying glass piecing together the puzzle. It now seems undeniable that Gary's disappearance and Nina and Summer's drug trip are linked. But how? Did Gary attend the same party? Was he the man who lunged at Nina? Could he have been caught in the wrong place at the wrong time? Collateral damage from two girls spiraling out of control? We're not saying Nina's guilty, one insider cautions. But this story is about cause and consequence. Even unintentional actions have ripple effects. Was the shove a defensive reaction? Could it have caused Gary to fall and hit his head, just like Seb did? The similarities are deeply unsettling. And yet, there are still missing pieces and theories. As fans scramble to unravel the mystery, several theories have emerged. Gary confronted the girls. Perhaps Gary stumbled across Nina and Summer at the party, tried to intervene, and was accidentally injured. A third party was involved. What if someone else saw what happened and moved Gary, leaving the girls to believe they imagined the whole thing? Cover up at the hospital. Could someone be keeping Gary's presence in the hospital a secret, maybe to protect Nina? Or for more sinister reasons? Gary was already in trouble. Was Gary targeted for something unrelated, and the timing just coincidentally overlaps with Nina's story? Only time will tell, but in Coronation Street, coincidence is rarely just that. Brick the emotional fallout. Whatever the truth, one thing is certain, the psychological damage has already been done. Nina is increasingly fragile, her grip on reality is slipping, and her nightmares are becoming more vivid. If she discovers that her fears are true, that she was responsible for Gary's condition, can she forgive herself? Summer, on the other hand, is in denial. But secrets have a way of surfacing. Her involvement, however reluctant, may place her in the crossfire of a larger investigation. Maria, once hopeful, may be devastated by the truth, especially if a familiar face is behind Gary's injuries. And Roy? He may be forced to once again protect Nina from a world that doesn't always understand her heart. Hourglass. What happens next? The next few weeks are set to be explosive as the truth begins to emerge. Here's what we might expect. Police reopen the case. With Gary in hospital, there will be questions. Someone will connect the dots. Nina and Summer may be forced to recount that night again, this time with stakes even higher. Gary wakes up, or doesn't. If Gary regains consciousness, he could exonerate or implicate Nina. If he doesn't, guilt and suspicion will fester. Relationships fracture. Maria and Nina's bond may collapse under the weight of truth. Summer's mental health may spiral. Roy's unwavering support may be tested like never before. Community divided. Weatherfield has long memories. If Nina is blamed, just or not, she could once again become a pariah. Clapperboard. Final thoughts. Coronation Street has always thrived on deeply personal drama wrapped in societal complexity. This latest twist, a traumatic drug incident overlapping with a beloved character's medical emergency, is a textbook example of the show's genius for slow burn storytelling. With emotion, mystery, and character-driven suspense, the show is setting the stage for a summer of revelations, redemptions, and perhaps a reckoning. Whether Nina is guilty or innocent, the journey to the truth will be unforgettable.